Becoming the best you and dominating in every metric of existence. Now, understand the only gap between you and the best you is the negative habits that you have in between, which is blockading and impeding you from growing as an individual. And so when we look at certain individuals and they remain the same piece of shit their entire fucking life, it's because that individual has a specific set of habits that they refuse to give up to embody that higher self. And so when we look at a best version compared to a not best version, the not best version is inferior to the best version. And so if you are not your best version in the present moment, that means you are inferior by your conduct and habits, because there's an individual within you which you're supposed to be, but you're not being, because you indulge in those negative habits. Now, those negative habits are drinking, smoking, porn, anything that is, actively deducing you and reducing, subtracting, and allowing you to remain a low-level bitch in the life you get once. So, you really have two paths you can walk in the life you only live once. Being that bitch your entire fucking life, or looking in the mirror and taking accountability for that piece of shit instead of projecting that insecure pussy-ass energy into the external world. Now, understand that before you feel some type of way, interpret the message and project your identity onto it, because you are too insecure to remove your ego and to allow the flow of truth to flow through your being and clear out that shit that you allow to permeate and infest you. Every time you indulge in that negative habit, you are rendered inferior, and the value of your life is the germ on the bottom of my fucking sneaker. So remember that every time you indulge in that negative habit, you are inferior. And so when we look at personal development, everything in the universe is growing. When we look at a plant, it grows. When we look at species, organisms on planet Earth roaming around in their instinctive fucking conscious instinctual form of being, their existential awareness is thus one of instinct. To be an individual, to have these compulsions to compulse you to indulge in that negative habit, to have the instinct to hit the vape, and then to hit it is to be rendered an inferior primate, to neglect the intellectual prowess that your being actually has, to avoid the negative habit, literally to put it in a void, to neglect to ignore the urge, and to grow as an individual. And every time you ignore that urge, every time you power yourself, willpower, to grow as an individual, to allow yourself to not indulge in the porn, to allow yourself to not pick up the vape, to smoke the weed, to drink, to not use another individual for your own pleasure, to actually grow as an individual and to expand your heart, literally, metaphysically, and to allow the natural flow of gratitude and blissfulness and being in love with yourself, actual love, not the chemical sequence, but true universal love, to persist in the endeavor of being better every single day, and to max out and cap out in everything you do, because you love yourself that much. They ask, how do you never miss the 3 a.m. wake up? How do you never miss the daily workout? How do you never miss at being such a fantastic, spectacular, miraculous, super powerful individual? Well, it's simply because I hold my word and I love myself to continue doing that. Now, in a world full of insecure pussies that don't even accept themselves, don't be a bitch like one of them. Look in the mirror, take accountability for that piece of shit, and understand that if you don't make a change, you're not going to change. Everyone expects the change of God to fall out the ether and to change their corporeal aspects to match the highest version of themselves. You dumb bitch. You're going to have to make that change. You're going to have to make that choice. And if you're not going to make that choice, then we're just going to demonstrate what the fuck you're not, which is the best version you should be, but you're not being. So as you continue to not be, we will continue to be. And as you get jealous, envy, and remain a low-level bitch, we're going to continue to expand in your face in every metric, physically, spiritually, mentally, financially. And we're just going to cap out our existence that we only get once, because we love ourselves enough to look in that mirror, understand that those negative habits that we allow to impede our growth is actively stopping us from being that individual you know you want to be. You don't want to hit that vape. You don't want to watch that porn. You do it as an alternative to compensate for something within you, which is a direct correspondent to you being insecure. If you are full of yourself, yeah, you should be full of yourself, not in an egotistical matter, but if you better yourself every day, you prove to yourself every day you're going to wake up and be the best you. Why aren't you allowed to be full of yourself? And the reason you say you shouldn't be full of yourself is because you're fucking societally programmed to be a bitch, and you listen to what all these other insecure pussies say, but you never actually think for yourself. Now, the difference between a genius and a piece of shit like you is we think for ourselves. So think for yourself and become a better individual through the space and time continuum. You only live once, and I cannot stress this enough. So every time you allow that negative habit to impede your growth and then to project that negative inhabitation onto someone else, because you are what you put your time and energy into, and to put your time and energy into negative habits is to have negative energy inhabit your brain. That's why it's called a habit, habitat. Your habits create where you're going. Your habit is where you're at. The habits that you indulge in and put your time and energy into is creating your future as we speak. So every time you indulge in that negative bitch ass, fucking pussy ass bitch habit that you refuse to give up to be the best version of you day in, day out, to put in max effort, to put in max pain, to put in all the power that you can accumulate, and to push that out of your being and to be a fucking primal savage in the life you only get once. I mean, it's very fucking simple. Best you or die a bitch. And if you're gonna choose to die a bitch, then you're just rendered mentally inferior to the ones that decide to wake up with the intention to be the best self every single day. And that individual who wakes up with the intention to max out, cop out, expand in every metric of existence is better than you in every aspect, and you're a bitch compared to the individual who maxed out every day while you took life for granted like an inferior fucking bitch. So personal development, one-on-one mindset coaching in the description. Max out or cap out. And, if you're not going to max out, then just tap out, because, you're rendered mentally inferior. We could give a fuck about you. You're worth less, value less, because that's what you put your energy into. That's where your habits and attention goes. The intention of your being is flowing in places and spaces it shouldn't be. So while you recede and be that bitch, we're just going to max out in your face while you remain a low-level bitch. Peace!